The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. Hope everybody's doing good today. Hope you're recovered, hanging in there after the tough Razorback loss over the weekend to Alabama, which, got to tell you the truth, guys, didn't hurt you. I mean, look, it's frustrating, disappointing, opportunity missed, but Arkansas still, all things considered, in a pretty good spot. And it's crazy because, I mean, this has almost been like covering two different teams with the differences that we've seen in Arkansas basketball with and without Boogie Fland. And this is not going to be a Boogie bashing session by any means whatsoever. I love Boogie. I hope he gets back before the end of the regular season. I don't think he will, but I hope he does. But it's hard to ignore just how much better Arkansas has been in these first 5 games of his absence. And I think there's many reasons involved here. I think the biggest part of it is guys are now kind of naturally sliding into roles that are just more suited to their games. Like DJ's look solid at the 1. Nelly much better as a primary, or excuse me, a secondary ball handler who has it in his hands more. Carter's kind of forced to grow up. He can play through some mistakes now. Big Z is emerging. He has to play because you need that shooting threat on the floor without Boogie, and look at him now. But we talk about that every single day, right? And we'll continue to. But I think instead of just sharing opinion on this episode, I want to share some data. I want to give you some numbers to back it up. After all, the numbers don't lie, right? If you are listening in podcast form today, I'm going to do my best to vocalize everything that I say, but this is probably best served as like a visual exercise, I think, YouTube version, because we're going to be doing some screen sharing and going through some stuff here. But look, Arkansas played 18 games with Boogie, 11-7 overall, 0-5 in SEC play, the worst start in SEC history for the Razorbacks. They were in full-on crater mode after his last game at Missouri, right? It's just, I mean, it is what it is, and that doesn't have to be Boogie's fault or anything like that. But that's where they were. And since that time, you look at the record, like it's better, 3-2, okay? But a pair of huge wins at Kentucky and at Texas, and they've improved their metrics here enough to where they've gone from like an NCAA tournament afterthought, like it was stupid to even talk about it, to being firmly, and I mean just as squarely on the bubble as you can possibly be, with 8 regular season games to play. They're back in the conversation. That's the big thing for me. They're back in the conversation, and it's a relevant conversation to have. This is great, and we'll look at that in a second here, but the Hogs have also, I think, just really passed the eye test lately. Don't they look like a better basketball team? I definitely think so. If you don't, I don't know what you've been watching. And the numbers back that up. So let me share the screen here and let's go through it. There you go. Okay. This is barttorvik.com. And Torvik is just this great analytics database that the NCAA selection committee utilizes now. It's one of the metrics that's on their team sheet. So they look at this stuff. This is going to feel like a promo, but I want to share with you some of their cool features that I use to gather my facts on things as it pertains to the metrics and comparing resumes and everything like that. You should check it out. Honestly, you should become very familiar with this because, frankly, Arkansas is going to be on the bubble the rest of the season. And this is a good tool to kind of give you an idea of where they stand. Pardon me, I'm drinking my coffee. It's early Sunday morning as I'm recording this, so still having the coffee here. But if you scroll down, okay, we'll take a look at where Arkansas stands overall. We're scrolling. Here we go. But they're at 44th. You can see them pop up there overall. So this is just like KenPom rankings. It's kind of the same idea, just another tool that they use. But you'll see that Arkansas is 44th overall at this stage of the game. And that's right. That's kind of right on that, bubble cut line where you would expect to be. This lines up pretty closely with the net, which Arkansas is 43rd. The wins above bubble, they're 45th. So they're kind of right there. These things start to align themselves at some point because the resumes are what they are. And then you look at the next two columns there, right beside it, and Arkansas is 86th overall in offensive efficiency. That makes sense because we know that they They've struggled some on the offensive end of the floor, and 32nd, right, defensively. Well, that's that's about right, I would say, for this Razorback team. That's the full body of work. Okay. Here's what I love about Torvik is that you can go change the date to manipulate the numbers and give you an idea of how a team has been playing lately. So if you go up here to the top where it says start, we can move things around a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll move this date to right after Arkansas played Missouri, which I'm pretty sure was January 19th. Is that right? When they played Missouri, let me just make sure real quick, because I don't want to be wrong about these things. Let me pull up and make sure I got the numbers right. Missouri was Boogie Fland's last game, and that was on Saturday the 18th. So their next game then would have been that Georgia game. So if we flip the script there, we filter it out, it changes the numbers over, and this gives you now the ranking of how Arkansas has played in their 5 games without Boogie Fland. So we're still scrolling a little bit here, right? And that's okay. And look at that. There's Arkansas up at number 30, 14 spots higher than they were in the full course of the season. That tells you they're playing better basketball in these last 5 games here. We talked about where they were defensively. About 15 to 20 spots higher in offensive efficiency at 67th. And whereas they're 32nd overall in defensive efficiency, 18th in the country in these last 5 games. That's the improvement that they've made there. That's notable. That's the kind of stuff that gets you from out of the conversation to back in the conversation. Now, we'll have a little fun here. Check this out. Small sample size alert. I get it. But let's just talk about these last 3 games, because honestly, when the schedule came out for Arkansas, right, it was, man, you look at the toughest 3-game stretch that they have, it's hard to get past at Kentucky, at Texas, and then at home against Alabama. Brutal 3 games. Arkansas goes 2-1 here. Flip the data. Wow, there they are right away. So over the course of these last 3 games, their toughest stretch against some really good competition, they're playing like the 13th best team in the country. I mean, looks good to me, right? This is why folks are encouraged by what they're seeing, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Now, does Arkansas have the depth or the gas in the tank to get to the finish line here? We're going to see. But this looks like a good basketball team now, when, frankly, it didn't for a long time. And they dug themselves a huge hole, the worst they've ever been in, like we said, in terms of starting SEC play, but they're still in position to overcome it. That's a good thing. You can be happy about that. You can be disappointed that they're in this spot in general. You know, it hasn't met expectations coming into this year and everything, but given where you were a couple weeks ago versus where you're at now, I feel like you should be encouraged by that, especially after you lose a player in Boogie who was leading the SEC in minutes, your best 3-point shooter, second in the league in assists, and you found a way to put this thing together and become a better team without him. Now, there's more cool stuff here. Check this out. You go up to the Funalytics tab, all right? And they have what they call T-Rankatology. So the T-Rank, that's what we were just looking at. Like these overall rankings, like the Kim Pom ranking, they call it the T-Rank. Arkansas's 44th overall. They're 13th over the last 3 games. And based on their metrics, they kind of put together what they think their NCAA tournament field is. Let's take a look. Okay. Oh, and who do we have here? If you look on the right column, the last 4 in, there are your Arkansas Razorbacks. How about that? So right now, Torvik has Arkansas in the field, not even the last team in the field. Shout out North Carolina. I don't think North Carolina is going to make it. Maybe I'm crazy. But here's the other thing. Look at the teams around them on the bubble who are ripe for the passing. BYU is playing in the Big 12. These guys are going to take some losses. Georgia, who you already have a win over, they are taking losses. Oklahoma, who you have now passed in some of the key metrics, even though they hold that win over you. Right there, Vanderbilt, who you still get a shot at playing, a Mountain West program who, frankly, they're good. Like, they're going to continue to win some games, but they don't have all these quad one opportunities in front of them. And they have more opportunities for damaging losses. Nebraska in the Big Ten, we'll see what they wind up doing. But Arkansas is in a position here to continue to make some moves. You got to win the games, obviously. They're in position to make some moves. Two other features I want to show you real quick, and then we'll get out of here. One is pretty cool. I got to go to Arkansas's team page. Okay. Now you'll see all the little factoids at the top. Here's your coach. Here's your conference, whatever. Similar resumes, which I think is very interesting. So basically what they do here is they take your body of work and they compare it to very similar bodies of work or resumes from teams in the past. And it gives you an idea of how things finished up for them. You want to get stressed out for a second? Look at this. Let me zoom in a little bit. So here you have Arkansas, and it just, it takes their net ranking, their wins above bubble, their power ranking, all these factors here, their overall resume, and compares them to teams of the past. 10 resumes that are similar to Arkansas's, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the similar resumes made the NCAA tournament. 4 of them missed that sucker. Again, that's about as bubblicious as it gets right there. Man, oh man, that's something. But what I do like is if you look at the overall resume value at 32, that's the highest out of all of these. The only one tied with it is West Virginia in 2012, and they made the field. So that's probably a good omen for Arkansas. Again, and if you do some of the comparisons sake, like their net right now, or based on these projections, would be the highest of all these. Wins above bubble, not quite, but it's up there in the upper echelon of the mix. My point is, I do think that Arkansas's current resume, their projected resume based on this, is probably on the higher end of these. Now, it all varies from year to year based on the strength of the bubble and the teams you're competing with and everything like that, no doubt about it. But I think that should make you feel at least semi-encouraged about where they're at, as encouraged as you can feel when you're looking at historical data that gives you what a 60-40 chance based on that alone. Is crazy. So what does Arkansas need to do, I guess, according to Torvik, to play its way into the field? Because that's what everybody wants to know. Like, you got 8 games left, and there's all this conversation about, the 7 and 11 get you in? Do you need to get to 8? What does all this look like? And again, a reminder, like, this is not the end all be all, but it is a relevant metric and database that the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee uses. Another cool feature, Funnelytics is awesome. It really is. But what you want to go to is your team cast. Then you got to go down and find Arkansas, which is fine. Okay, and here you have it. So what you're going to see, let me give you a little zoom so it's more clear. Okay, this has got all your wins and losses here. And then you can go through and kind of simulate. Like, you can create your own path based on what you want it to look like here. And it gives you the odds of kind of what you're looking at. So let's do this by chalk of kind of what Torvik's projections are for the rest of the way. So they got you beating LSU. They got you losing both of these road games to A&M, at Auburn. They even got Missouri beating you at home, which would piss me off. But if it happens, it happens. Win over Texas at home, complete the sweep. You go beat a bad South Carolina team on the road. Oh, man, they got you losing at Vandy. That's tough. But they got you winning this one over a Mississippi State team who's come back down to earth on senior day there at Bud Walton. So that's 4-4 the rest of the way. Let's submit this and see what it pops out, what comes out of the machine. That would put Arkansas at what, 18? Yeah, 18-13, 7-11 in the SEC. And this does not count any SEC tournament games where the first couple rounds there, you could do yourself some favors, right? Pick up another quad one win or two. We scroll on down. Look at that. Highlighted in yellow, the last 4 byes, they would project Arkansas into the field with wins over LSU, over Texas, at South Carolina, at home against Mississippi State. And in fairly safely, like not even in the last 4 in. That's Oklahoma, Georgia, BYU, and North Carolina. So Arkansas would that be a 10 seed? Yeah, there you go. On the left side. Would have Arkansas as a 10 seed, and then based on these rankings here, that would give them the top 7 seed, which would be St. Mary's. I would take Arkansas versus St. Mary's. Now, St. Mary's is really, really good. But from a stylistic standpoint, Arkansas is going to be supremely talented and more athletic. And then who are the 2 seeds? You'd be paired with, it wouldn't be Florida. So Houston, Purdue, Arizona. But there you have it. For funsies, let's just do this real quick. You could do a win out. Let's just say Arkansas goes on a freaking heater here and wins 8 in a row. Like, how high could they get? So that would put them at 22-9 and then 11-7. That ain't happening, but it'd be funny if it did. That would include a win at Auburn, whatever. There you go. Like, they could get as high as a 5 seed if they kind of won out there, right? I don't know if 7-11 is going to get you there. I don't. I think you're going to be very, very much on the bubble, kind of right where you are right now. Last team out, or first team out, last team in kind of situation. It's going to depend so much on what other teams around you do. But you could go, I think if you get to 7-11, you go to the SEC tournament and win a game or two, you can really solidify yourself. And there's all this debate about, like, does it even matter? Because the selection committee, they've got their teams picked already, and it doesn't really move the needle that much. The deeper you get into the tournament, the less it matters, is kind of the case here. They start selecting those teams. They start putting the field together. By the time you get to, like, the Saturday games, like the semifinal games of the SEC tournament, it doesn't do you that much good anymore. I mean, unless you go win the thing and you get an automatic bid. But those first opening round games are still very important because those are data points that the committee's still going to look at. So if Arkansas winds up in a 10-7 game or whatever in the SEC tournament, well, you're going to have a quad one opportunity in that first round game. You win that, that's an important data point that goes on there. A neutral site quad one win. So yes, the SEC tournament does and can matter in this situation, and it will, I think, if Arkansas gets to that 7-11 mark, and you got to do it. But there's certainly a pathway there for Arkansas to get to where they want to be. So, and I know and I understand why folks could be upset about the loss on Saturday, disappointed. You need to get a big one at home, right? I mean, we can all agree with that. They're 1-4 in SEC play at home. What the heck is going on here? Played some really, really tough teams, but just flipping one of those results would have made such a difference. But you can't go change history. So it's all about what they can do moving forward. While that game could have helped you a ton, though, losing to Alabama by 4 did not hurt you one single bit. And it would have if they would have let go of the rope when they got down by 18. And I'll explain why in just a second. But it didn't, because they fought back, made it a 4-point game. They actually covered the spread, covered the projections, and that really matters in terms of your efficiency. If you go look at KenPom, Arkansas actually moved up in their offensive and defensive efficiency, which is good. They stayed exactly the same in the net rankings, exactly the same in wins above bubble. So did it help you? No. Did it hurt you? Not at all. But the same can't be said for Oklahoma, who did exactly what Arkansas could have done, which just kind of packed it in and went ahead and got blown out. They got blown out on their home floor by Tennessee. And all of a sudden, they drop 8 spots in the net rankings as a result, and they have officially fallen behind Arkansas. So I guess in a way you could say you actually helped your cause a little bit. these are the mental gymnastics we're going to have to do as we hate watch these bubble teams and love watch. Is that a thing? The Razorbacks the rest of the way. Anyhow, sorry, I had to nerd out on the numbers. I hope you guys like that Torvik stuff. I really do. It's you can get deep in the weeds with some of the things you can do with manipulating the data and changing the dates and looking at all their cool functions on there. But I would familiarize yourself with it as we continue to move forward here. Anytime one of these bubble teams plays and has a result, I go back and check this. If Arkansas plays Wednesday, if they beat LSU, I'm going to come back and check this, mess with some things, see what the path looks like from there. It's a good time, but it's a stressful time, right, for everybody out there. But we'll see what it looks like as we continue to move forward here. We'll do a little bit of a bracketology update among some other things tomorrow, because Monday is usually when we have a lot of the new projections that come out. People put out their new brackets after the weekend, and you can kind of get an updated idea of where everyone stands. I imagine Arkansas is probably going to be right about exactly where they were going into the weekend. But we'll take a look at that. We'll talk about some other things, and we'll get you geared up for this LSU game on Wednesday, which is a must-win. Point blank period. Got to have it, right? We can all agree with that. You can't be getting swept by LSU and then wondering why you didn't make the NCAA tournament. That's why. You shouldn't have lost to them on the road. You certainly can't lose to them at home. But we'll get there when we get there in a couple days. I'm out of here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, tapping in as always. You're awesome. And honestly, it was kind of crazy. At Bud Walton Arena Saturday night, there's several college kids, right? The students who were coming up saying, "Oh man, more students listen to you guys than you imagine." We're tapped in. It would get out of class every day. We turn on Inside Arkansas Live, and I was like, "Oh man, nice." That's a good demographic to hit. So shout out to you guys for rocking with us. We appreciate you too, and we're looking forward to keeping this thing rolling. But everybody have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace. Peace.